The shotgun blast echoed through the oak-lined driveway like a thunderclap from hell, splintering the antique mirror on the front porch of the Harrington estate. Jackson Harrington, 32, broad-shouldered, with the kind of jawline that could cut glass, stumbled backward, shards of glass raining down like brittle confetti. His father's voice still ringing in his ears. "You're no son of mine. You filthy disgrace." Blood trickled from a gash on his forehead where a flying fragment had nicked him, but it was the raw ache in his chest that burned hottest. The kind that whispered this was the end of everything he'd ever known. In that frozen heartbeat, as the acrid smell of gunpowder mixed with magnolia blossoms, Jackson realized the Harrington legacy, the sprawling vineyard in Napa Valley, the old money whispers in San Francisco boardrooms, had just buried him alive. He'd come home for the family reunion, the one Grandpa Elias always called the bloodline's reckoning, expecting the usual bullshit, too much bourbon, awkward toasts to fortunes built on bootleg wine during Prohibition, and his father's endless lectures on legacy. But this year, Jackson had brought Logan. Logan Reyes, the tattooed ex-Marine with laugh lines that crinkled like sun-bleached leather and eyes the color of Pacific storm clouds. They'd met 2 years ago in a dive bar off Haight Street, bonding over shitty IPAs and shared stories of boot camp horrors. Jackson's from the corporate grind at his dad's firm, Logan's from actual sand and IEDs. What started as a one-night stand had bloomed into something fierce, unspoken vows exchanged in motel rooms and midnight hikes up Twin Peaks. Logan was the anchor Jackson never knew he needed, the one who traced the scars on his back from a childhood fall and whispered, "You're enough, Jack. You're goddamn everything." They'd driven up from L.A. in Logan's beat-up Ford Ranger, windows down, Springsteen blasting Thunder Road, as the vineyards blurred into golden rose. Jackson had rehearsed the speech 100 times in his head. Casual, like announcing a promotion. "Hey, family, meet the guy who's got my heart." Logan's moving in. Past the ribs. But the second they pulled up, his sister Amelia's eyes had narrowed, her perfectly highlighted bob swinging like a pendulum of judgment. "Who's this?" she'd hissed, as if Logan were a stray dog Jackson had dragged in from the gutter. Dinner had been a minefield. Grandpa Elias, 87 and sharp as a switchblade, had eyed Logan over his bifocals, muttering about family values while carving the turkey. Dad, William Harrington III, the iron-fisted patriarch with a perpetual scowl etched from decades of mergers and hostile takeovers, had barely touched his plate, his knuckles white around his fork. Mom, ever the peacemaker with her pearls and pill-popping smile, had fluttered around like a moth to a flame, cooing, "Oh, Jackson, tell us about your friend." Logan had handled it like a pro, charming them with tales of his abuela's tamales and his stint rebuilding schools in Fallujah. For a fleeting moment, Jackson thought it might work. Laughter rippled. Wine flowed. Maybe the Harringtons, with their wasp-y veneer cracking under California's progressive sun, could bend just a little. Then came the toast. Grandpa raised his glass, voice gravelly from too many cigars. To blood. Thicker than water, stronger than steel. May it run true in our veins forever. Everyone echoed it, clinking crystal. Jackson's hand shook as he lifted his own, Logan's thigh pressing warm against his under the table. A silent, "I've got you." But as the echoes faded, Dad slammed his napkin down. "Blood," he spat, eyes locking on Jackson. "Funny you mention that, Elias. Because my sons spilled enough of it tonight to drown us all." The room went still. Amelia gasped, her wine sloshing red across the linen. Mom whispered, William, please. But Dad was a freight train, barreling forward. I saw you too. In the guest house. Like animals. The word hung there, venomous. Jackson's stomach plummeted. They'd stolen a moment after dessert. Desperate, hungry kisses against the wall. Logan's hands in his hair. The world narrowing to just them. The door must have creaked open unnoticed. You think you can parade this? This perversion under my roof. Dad's face purpled, veins bulging like roots under parched soil. The Harrington name built empires. It doesn't bend for freaks. Logan stiffened beside him, but Jackson squeezed his hand. Don't. Not yet. Grandpa nodded slowly, his silence a gavel's fall. Amelia crossed her arms, lips pursed. Jack, we love you, but this, it's not us. Not us. Jackson's voice cracked like the mirror would later, but he stood anyway, chair scraping the hardwood. I'm your brother, your son, your grandson. And Logan's the best thing that's ever happened to me. If that's not us, then what the hell are we even doing here? Dad's laugh was a bark, ugly and final. He grabbed the antique shotgun from above the mantel, a relic from some great-granddaddy's hunting days, unloaded but loaded with symbolism, and fired it into the air. No, not the air. Jackson dodged just in time, the blast shattering the porch mirror as he bolted outside, Logan hot on his heels. Run! Logan yelled, but Jackson was already sprinting toward the truck, heart hammering like a war drum. They peeled out in a spray of gravel, taillights bleeding red into the twilight. 10 miles down Highway 29, Jackson pulled over at a scenic overlook, the Napa Valley sprawling below like a rumpled quilt of green and gold. He killed the engine and buried his face in his hands, sobs ripping free, ugly, guttural things that echoed off the canyon walls. Logan didn't say a word at first, just wrapped those marine-strong arms around him, chin resting on his shoulder, breathing steady as an ocean tide. It's over, Jackson choked out. They'll cut me off. The will, the shares, everything. I'm dead to them. Logan's grip tightened. Then we're ghosts together, babe. Fuck their empire. We've got each other. But even as Logan said it, Jackson felt the fracture lines spiderwebbing through his soul. The Harringtons weren't just family. They were his map, his compass. Without them, who was he? A disgraced heir with a lover they called a mistake? The vineyard lights twinkled mockingly in the distance, a constellation of what-ifs. Little did Jackson know, the real blast, the one that would shatter everything, was still to come. A manila envelope waiting in his L.A. mailbox, stamped with a lab's sterile logo, holding secrets sharper than any shotgun pellet. Back in the city, the high-rise condo they'd scraped together felt like a bunker now. Concrete walls closing in, the view of the Hollywood Hills a cruel joke on their star-crossed life. Logan crashed on the couch with a beer, scrolling job listings on his phone, while Jackson paced the kitchen, replaying the night like a bad loop. I should have known, he muttered, slamming a cabinet. Dad's always hated anything that didn't fit his mold. Remember that time he shipped me off to military school for kissing Tommy Whitaker at the homecoming dance? Logan looked up, his dark eyes soft but fierce. Yeah, and you came back swinging. That's why I fell for you, Jack. You're a fighter, not some trust fund puppet. Jackson sank onto the coffee table, knees bumping Logan's. Fighter? I ran tonight. Like a coward. Nah. Logan set the phone aside, pulling Jackson's hands into his lap. They were calloused, Logan's from wrenching engines at the garage. Jackson's from signing deals that now felt like ash. You stood up first. That's more than most do. He leaned in, lips brushing Jackson's knuckles. A ritual, their quiet armor against the world. The kiss deepened, slow and deliberate, Logan's stubble grazing like sandpaper on silk. For a moment, the ache eased, replaced by heat, by the familiar rhythm of bodies speaking what words couldn't. They tumbled to the rug, clothes shedding like old skin, Logan's mouth mapping the freckles across Jackson's chest as if committing them to memory. You're mine, Logan murmured against his skin, voice rough with want. No bloodline changes that. Jackson arched into him, fingers tangling in Logan's cropped hair, chasing oblivion in the press of muscle and sweat. It was desperate, almost punishing, the way Jackson bit Logan's shoulder, drawing a hiss, the way Logan pinned him down with a growl that vibrated through bone. Release came like a storm breaking, leaving them tangled and breathless, the city lights flickering through the blinds like distant fireflies. But dawn brought no mercy. Jackson's phone buzzed. A blocked number. Amelia's voicemail crackling through. Jack, come back. Dad's sorry. Just leave the guy. We can fix this. For the family. He deleted it without replying, but the barb lodged deep. Logan stirred, mumbling about coffee, oblivious for a blissful second. Jackson watched him sleep, chest rising steady, and wondered if love like this could outrun a lifetime of conditioning. Work was a ghost town. Jackson's corner office at Harrington Investments, glass walls overlooking the financial district, felt like a cage. Colleagues whispered behind partitions. Emails from Dad's assistant. Indefinite leave. Personal matters. By noon, HR called him in. We're reallocating your portfolio, the suit said, not meeting his eyes. Effective immediately. Fired. For being gay in 2025 America? Not too progressive for that lawsuit. But the subtext screamed, you're toxic now. A liability to the brand. He drove aimlessly after, ending up at Venice Beach where Logan sometimes surfed. The waves crashed indifferent, seals barking from the pier. Jackson sat on the sand, toes digging into cold grit, and pulled out his phone. A notification pinged, an envelope from a DNA lab he'd half forgotten. Months ago, after a bar fight left him paranoid about his Harrington blood. He'd swabbed on a whim, mailing it off with Logan's encouragement. Know thyself, right? The results loaded slow, then hit like a sucker punch. Father, unknown. The words blurred as his vision swam. Maternal match. Confirmed. Mom's side. The Thompsons from Ohio. But paternal? Zero probability. William Harrington III wasn't his dad. Some stranger's sperm had seeded the Harrington heir apparent. Jackson's laugh was hollow, echoing over the surf. Disgrace? Hell, he wasn't even real. He texted Logan, meet me at the pier. World just imploded. 20 minutes later, Logan jogged up, board shorts slung low, salt-crusted hair dripping. One look at Jackson's face, and he dropped to his knees in the sand. What happened? Jackson shoved the phone at him. Logan scrolled, jaw tightening. Shit. Babe, this changes. Everything, or nothing. Jackson's voice broke. I'm a fraud. The golden boy who wasn't. No wonder they hate me. I'm the lie they built their empire on. Logan's arms crushed around him, fierce and unyielding. You're no lie. You're Jackson. My Jackson. The rest? Fuck it. We'll burn it down together. But as the sun dipped low, painting the ocean bloody, Jackson felt the pull of unfinished business. The Harringtons had disowned him for loving a man. What would they do when they learned he wasn't even theirs? The drive back to Napa was a gauntlet of ghosts. Jackson gripped the wheel white-knuckled, the Ford's AC blasting cold air that did nothing to thaw the ice in his veins. Logan rode shotgun, silent sentinel, one hand heavy on Jackson's thigh, a lifeline against the vertigo of freefall. They'd stopped at a roadside diner for gas and grief, Jackson picking at a burger that tasted like cardboard while Logan demolished his fries, cracking dark jokes about plot twists bigger than M. Night Shyamalan's Wet Dreams. It coaxed a ghost of a smile from Jackson, but the weight pressed heavier with every mile marker. Why go back? Logan asked finally, as the vineyards loomed like judgmental sentinels. Let 'em rot in their own bullshit. Because closure, Jackson said, though it sounded like a lie even to him. Truth was, the DNA results burned a hole in his pocket, a grenade pin half pulled. He needed to see their faces when the truth detonated. The shock, the unraveling. Maybe then the shame they'd heaped on him would boomerang, leave them choking on their own hypocrisy. The estate gates creaked open like reluctant jaws, the driveway still littered with glass from the night before. Mom met them at the door, eyes puffy from crying or Valium, her silk blouse wrinkled like yesterday's news. Jack, thank God. She hugged him fiercely, then froze at Logan trailing behind. You brought him. He's family, Jackson said flatly, stepping past her. The house smelled of lemon polish and regret, the dining room cleared of debris but echoing with absence. Dad was in his study, door ajar, nursing scotch in a tumbler that caught the lamplight like liquid amber. Grandpa Elias dozed in the library, oxygen tank hissing softly. Amelia hovered in the kitchen, chopping vegetables with manic precision, her knife flashing like accusations. Dad, Jackson's voice cut the air. William looked up, face a mask of controlled fury, the shotgun propped in the corner like a sleeping dragon. Jackson, no warmth, just the clipped tone of boardroom dismissals. I told you to come alone, and I told you to go to hell. Logan tensed beside him, but Jackson waved him off. This was his battlefield. He slapped the printout on the desk, lab logo stark, results boxed in red. Read it. Then talk. William's eyes flicked down, dismissive at first, then snagged. The scotch glass trembled in his grip. What the fuck is this? DNA. Turns out, I'm not a Harrington. Not by blood. Anyway. So your legacy? It's built on a bastard's bones. The room tilted. William's face drained to ash, then flushed crimson. Lies. Some lab error. Your mother. Mom, Jackson bellowed. She appeared in the doorway, wringing her hands. Tell him. Tell them all. She crumpled into a chair, tears spilling. It was one night, William, before we married. A conference in Vegas. I was young, scared. You were so distant. He was kind. A nobody bartender, I think. When I found out I was pregnant, panicked. Told you it was yours. The timeline fit, close enough. Amelia burst in, knife forgotten. Mom, you cheated? And Jack's. Not Dad's. Grandpa's voice wheezed from the hall. Elias Harrington's blood ends here? He shuffled in, clutching his cane, eyes wild behind thick lenses. William surged to his feet, chair toppling. You lying whore. All these years, the mergers, the trusts, grooming him for the board, and it's all for some Vegas fuck-up spawn. His fist slammed the desk, papers flying. Jackson flinched, old instincts kicking in. The boy who'd hidden bruises from lessons in manhood. Logan stepped forward, voice low thunder. Easy, Harrington. Touch him, and we're done talking. You, William snarled, rounding on Logan. This is your fault. You poisoned him, turned my whatever he is against us. Your what? Your puppet. Jackson's laugh was bitter shards. I loved a man. That's the poison, not some ancient affair. But hey, turns out I'm the family secret. How's that for disgrace? Mom sobbed openly now, reaching for Jackson's hand. I love you, baby. Blood or not. You're my son. Save it. He pulled away, the warmth of her touch a lie he'd believed too long. Amelia stared at him, horror dawning into something softer. Pity? Regret? Jack. I'm sorry. For everything. The study felt like a pressure cooker, steam building to explosion. Grandpa collapsed into his armchair, muttering about the line broken, the vines withered. William paced, scotch sloshing, his empire cracking audibly. Jackson watched it all, a detached god overseeing Armageddon. Part of him thrilled at the chaos, the mighty Harringtons reduced to squabbling mortals. But the boy inside, the one who'd worshipped this pedestal, wept silent tears. Logan tugged his sleeve. We done here? Not yet. Jackson turned to William. The shares. The will. You gonna rewrite me out now that I'm defective goods? William stopped, eyes narrowing. You think this absolves you? Parading your lifestyle? No. You're out. Always were. The words landed like fists, but Jackson stood taller. Good. Keep your rotting empire. Logan's got a life waiting, one where love doesn't come with strings. They left then, the door clicking shut like a guillotine. In the truck, Jackson's hands shook so bad Logan had to start the engine. You okay? Logan asked, pulling onto the road. Numb. Jackson leaned his head against the window, the glass cool on his fevered skin. Like I shed a skin I didn't know was choking me. Logan nodded, wise beyond his scars. Freedom tastes like shit at first, but it sweetens. They holed up in a roadside motel that night, the kind with neon vacancy signs buzzing like angry hornets. The room smelled of stale smoke and regret, but the bed was wide enough for two broken men to mend. Logan ordered pizza, extra cheese, Jackson's guilty pleasure, and they ate cross-legged on the comforter, grease-slick fingers tracing lazy patterns on each other's arms. Remember our first date? Logan said, wiping his mouth. That food truck in Echo Park. You spilled carnitas down your shirt. Tried to play it cool. Jackson chuckled, the sound rusty. And you bought me a new one from a thrift store. Said it matched my eyes. Still does. Logan's gaze held steady, pulling Jackson under like a riptide. They made love slow this time. No desperation, just reverence. Logan's lips on the curve of his hip, whispering litanies of mine and forever. Jackson surrendered, letting the motel walls fade, the world narrowing to Logan's heartbeat against his own. Afterward, tangled in sheets that smelled of bleach and them, Jackson confessed the fear gnawing deepest. What if I'm not enough without the name? Just some aimless queer with daddy issues. Logan's finger pressed to his lips. You're the man who faced down a dynasty for us. That's enough for 10 lifetimes. Sleep came fitful, dreams of shotguns morphing into DNA helices twisting like nooses. Morning brought rain, unusual for Napa, pattering the tin roof like impatient fingers. Jackson's phone lit up. Amelia. Need to talk. Alone. Please. He showed Logan, who shrugged. Your call, but I'm parked outside. The estate looked forlorn under gray skies, vines drooping like mourners. Amelia waited on the porch, umbrella in hand, her usual poise fractured. Jack. She hugged him awkwardly, rain dripping from the eaves. We owe you an apology. Mom's a wreck. Dad's locked in his study, burning papers. Grandpa won't stop ranting about curses. Jackson shrugged, rain soaking his jacket. Karma's a bitch. It's more than that. She led him to the gazebo, out of the downpour, her voice dropping. Last night, after you left, Dad confessed. He knew about the affair. Suspected from the start, your eyes, they don't match his. But he raised you anyway. Groomed you. Because you were brilliant, Jack. The son he wished he had. The revelation hit like cold water. He knew, and still treated me like shit. Amelia's eyes glistened. He projected his own insecurities, failed investments, the pressure from Elias. You were his redemption. Then you fell in love with Logan. It shattered the illusion. Jackson's throat tightened. So I'm the villain for being happy? No. She gripped his arm. You're the truth we ignored. And now, with the DNA, it's all unraveling. Mom's talking divorce. Grandpa's rewriting the will, leaving it to charity unless Dad steps down. He almost pitied them, the crumbling facade. But pity curdled quick. What do you want from me, Mills? Absolution. Forgiveness. For us. For me, I should have fought harder. Stood with you. Her voice cracked. And stay. For the funeral. Funeral. The word sucked air from his lungs. Grandpa. The doctor came this morning. Weeks. Maybe days. He wants you there. Blood or not, you're his grandson. Jackson stared at the rain-lashed vines. Memories flooding. Elias teaching him to prune grapes at dawn. Stories of bootleggers outrunning revenuers. The old man had been gruff love. A lighthouse in the fog. I'll think about it. Amelia nodded, pressing a key into his palm, the guest house. Room's yours. Logan's welcome too. Truce. He pocketed it, the metal warm from her hand. Driving back to the motel, Logan waiting with coffee steaming in to-go cups. Jackson felt the scales tipping. Not toward reconciliation. Fuck that noise, but toward something rawer. Humanity, maybe. The messy truth that families weren't fortresses, but fragile things, prone to fracture. That night, they returned to the estate under cover of dusk. The guest house was a time capsule, plush quilts, a stone fireplace crackling. Logan built the fire while Jackson unpacked, their movements domestic. A bomb. Truce, Logan echoed, eyebrow arched. For now, Jackson pulled him close, foreheads touching. But if your dad pulls that shotgun shit, I'll handle it. Logan's grin was wolfish. Semper Fi. They cooked pasta in the tiny kitchen. Wine from the cellar, contraband. Swiped like kids. Laughter bubbled up, tentative at first, then free. Logan twirled noodles on his fork, feeding Jackson a bite, sauce smearing his chin. Sloppy, Logan teased. licking it off with a kiss that tasted of marinara and mischief. Later, by the fire, Jackson traced the tattoos snaking Logan's arms. Marine globe, eagle fierce, a rosary for his abuela. Their initials intertwined in subtle script. "When'd you get this one?" Jackson murmured, finger circling the J and L. "After you said yes to forever." Logan's voice was soft smoke. "Ink's permanent. Like us." The fire popped, embers dancing. Jackson's heart swelled, a tide against the grief. But as flames died to glow, his phone buzzed. "Mom, Elias is asking for you." Now, the pull sharpened. Duty, love, or the final severing? Grandpa Elias lay in the master suite like a fallen oak, the four-poster bed swallowing his frail frame, monitors beeping a dirge to his fading pulse. The room smelled of antiseptic and old books, shelves groaning under tomes of Harrington lore, ledgers from the 1920s, yellowed photos of stern ancestors in +4s. Jackson hesitated in the doorway, Logan's hand a steady pressure at his back. "Go on," Logan whispered. "I'll raid the kitchen." Elias's eyes fluttered open, milky blue but sharp. "Jackson. Knew you'd come." His voice was wind through dry leaves. Jackson crossed the Persian rug, sinking into the bedside chair, the wood creaking under him. "You rang." Jackson tried for levity, but it fell flat. Elias's laugh wheezed. "Always the smartass. Like me at your age." He groped for Jackson's hand, skin paper-thin over bones like bird wings. "Heard about the test." "Blood don't lie." Jackson's gut twisted. "You knew too. Suspected." "Your mom. She confessed once, drunk on communion wine. But I raised you. Taught you the vines. You're Harrington in soul." "Boy." Tears pricked Jackson's eyes. Unbidden, hot. "Soul? Dad doesn't think so. Neither does the family will. Apparently." Elias squeezed, frail but fierce. "William's a fool. Empire blind. But you," his gaze sharpened. "You love that soldier boy. Logan's good stock. Reminds me of my wartime chum, Jimmy. We shared foxholes in the Pacific. More than friends, if you catch my drift." A sly wink, the old man's armor cracking to reveal vulnerability. "Never told a soul. Times were different. But it saved me, that love." Jackson's breath hitched. "Grandpa." "You. Shoo." Elias waved a shaky hand. "Water under the bridge. Point is, blood's overrated. Love, that's the real legacy." He fumbled in the nightstand, pulling a leather-bound journal, edges frayed. "Read this. After. My truths. For you." Jackson took it, the weight heavy as secrets. "I don't know if I can stay. After everything. Stay till the end." Elias's eyes pleaded. "Then go build your own name. With him." Logan found him later in the library, journal clutched like a talisman, tears drying on his cheeks. "Rough?" Logan asked, settling beside him on the leather sofa, arms slung casual over shoulders. "Eye-opening." Jackson leaned in, inhaling Logan's scent, soap and sea salt. "Turns out, I'm not the family pioneer. Grandpa had his own ghosts." Logan hummed, thumb stroking Jackson's neck. "Makes sense. Apples don't fall far." They sat like that, fire crackling, the journal a bridge between past and present. But peace shattered at dinner, William at the head, stone-faced, Mom fluttering with forced cheer, Amelia picking at her salad. To Elias, William toasted, glass raised. But his eyes on Jackson were daggers. Logan, seated beside Jackson, met them unflinching. To love, Logan countered softly, clinking his water glass. The table tensed. William's fork clattered. Insolent. Truthful, Logan shot back. Your dad's dying. Maybe focus on that. Mom gasped. Amelia froze. William half rose, face thunderous. You dare. Enough. Jackson's voice whipped like a lash. Logan's right. This family's imploding, and you're still swinging at shadows. I know about the affair, that you knew, and you let me think I was yours. Then disown me for loving like a man should. William's mouth worked, fish-like. I gave you everything. Position. Future. Lies. Jackson stood, journal thumping the table. Grandpa's words. He knew. And he loved anyway. He opened it, reading aloud Elias's scrawled entry, October 1944. Jimmy's laugh in the jungle rain, better than any medal. If I had a son, I'd tell him, choose heart over heritage. Silence crashed. Mom wept. Amelia whispered, Oh, Daddy. William stared at his plate, defeated. That night, Jackson and Logan walked the vineyard rows, moon silvering the leaves. Heavy stuff, Logan said, lacing fingers. Yeah. Jackson stopped, pulling Logan close. But freeing. Like shedding chains. Their kiss was moonlight soft, deepening under stars pricked like promises. Hands roamed, urgent yet tender, clothes discarded in the dirt. Logan knelt, mouth hot and worshipful, drawing gasps from Jackson that mingled with cricket song. Love you, Logan murmured, rising to claim him fully, bodies merging in earth's embrace. It was sacrament, this union raw, reverent, rewriting betrayal into belonging. Dawn brought crisis. Elias coded in his sleep, paramedics swarming. Jackson rode in the ambulance, Logan's truck tailing the wail of sirens to the hospital in Santa Rosa. Waiting room purgatory, bad coffee, fluorescent hum. Mom paced, clutching rosary beads. Amelia hugged her knees. William arrived last, rumpled, eyes hollow, vulnerability cracking his armor. He's stable, the doctor said finally. But it's time. Say your goodbyes. Elias rallied one last time, propped in bed, tubes snaking like vines. Family gathered, fractured circle. Forgive, he rasped, eyes on William. All of it. Blood's thin. Love's thick. William broke then, kneeling by the bed, sobs racking the Titan. Dad. I'm sorry. For everything. Elias touched his hair. Knew you could. Then to Jackson. Proud. Boy. Go live. He slipped away at noon. Monitors flatlining to elegy. The room emptied slow. Grief a tide pulling them under. Jackson lingered, journal in hand, Logan's arm anchor. What now? Logan asked. Funeral. Then. Us. The service was vineyard side. Elias's casket under an arbor of Cabernet Sauvignon. Preacher droning psalms. Jackson spoke, voice steady. Words from the journal. Tales of bootleggers and hidden loves. A eulogy to truths unearthed. William followed, voice cracking. He taught me strength. And folly. To my son. The pause hung, loaded. Jackson. Forgive an old fool. Jackson met his eyes. The man who'd raised him, broken him, now humbled. Maybe. In time. After. At the wake. Tensions simmered low. Mom pulled Jackson aside. Stay. Rebuild with us. Amelia nodded. Your family. Always. But betrayal lurked. A shadow in the corner. As guests milled, Jackson overheard William on the phone in the study. Yes. The shares transfer to Amelia. He's out, blood or no. The knife twisted fresh. Logan, eavesdropping too, gripped Jackson's shoulder. We bounce. Not yet. Jackson's voice was steel. One more play. That night, storm raging outside, Jackson confronted William in the study. Heard you on the phone. Still cutting me out. William sighed, wearied. Business, son. The board. Don't. Jackson tossed the DNA printout again. You lose me. You lose the illusion. Elias's will, I saw it. He left me the vineyard outright. Blood be damned. William paled. What? Journals full of addendums. Lawyer confirmed this afternoon. So, Dad, not yours? Try not yours to control. The older man's shoulders sagged. Defeat absolute. Take it. All of it. Just don't hate me. Jackson's heart cracked open. Not to venom, but mercy. Hate's too easy. We'll figure family out. Maybe. Logan waited in the hall, pride in his eyes. Boss move. They drove south at midnight, storm chasing. The vineyard deed in Jackson's glove box. A new legacy, queer and unapologetic. L.A. welcomed them back with smoggy arms. The city lights a chaotic constellation mocking the orderly rows they'd left behind. Jackson's condo, no. Their condo, felt like sanctuary now, walls echoing with possibility. Boxes from Logan's garage apartment cluttered the living room, half-unpacked dreams spilling out. Surfboards propped like sentinels. Photo of Logan's unit in desert fatigues. Jackson's law books stacked beside dog-eared queer lit. Baldwin. Monet. They christened the space that first night. Pizza boxes forgotten on the counter. Bodies colliding in the kitchen like waves on jetty rocks. Logan's hands pinned Jackson to the fridge. Magnets clattering. His mouth a vow. Ours now. No ghosts, but ghosts lingered. Days blurred into a haze of legalese. Lawyers parsing Elias's will. The vineyard transferring seamlessly. A middle finger to William's empire. Jackson's phone rang relentless. Mom pleading visits. Amelia plotting board coups. Dad's curt emails about joint ventures. He ignored most, diving instead into the Napa property remotely, hiring a manager, sketching plans for eco-tours, queer-friendly retreats. Our empire, he'd tell Logan over takeout, is a light. Grown from love, not lies. Logan nodded, but shadows crossed his face. Work at the garage soured, boss side-eyeing his distraction. Hours cut. It's nothing, he'd say, wiping grease from his brow. But Jackson saw the strain, the way Logan's laugh rang hollow after shifts. One night, postcoital glow fading, Logan confessed over beers on the balcony. Got a letter from the VA. Old wounds flaring, PTSD check-in. They want me on meds again. Jackson's heart clenched. Why didn't you say? Didn't want to burden. Logan's eyes fixed on the hills. Distant. You got your own wars. Bullshit. Jackson cupped his face, thumbs tracing jaw. We're a unit. Marines don't solo. Therapy started tentative, group sessions in a Koreatown community center. Circle of vets sharing war stories like communion wafers. Jackson tagged along first time, waiting in the truck, anxiety gnawing. Logan emerged drained but lighter, collapsing into the passenger seat with a grin. Your turn next, Harrington. Family trauma's a bitch. Jackson laughed, but the seed took. Individual counseling followed, a silver-haired shrink named Dr. Reyes' ironic coincidence probing the Harrington fractures. Betrayal's a cycle, she'd say, her office smelling of chamomile and change. Break it. With him, they did, in fragments. Date nights at Griffith Observatory, stargazing with thermoses of spiked cocoa. Logan's head on Jackson's lap as they named constellations after inside jokes. Logan's liver spot for Orion's belt. Hikes in Runyon Canyon. Sweat-slick climbs ending in stolen kisses overlooking the sprawl. Sex evolved to less frenzy. More exploration. Logan's fingers learning Jackson's edges. Whispers of fantasies long buried under shame. Yet conflict brewed distant. Napa called a board meeting at the estate. William summoning Jackson for final signatures. Logan offered to drive, but Jackson went solo, stealing for war. The dining room table gleamed under chandeliers, lawyers' droning clauses. William sat opposite, aged a decade in weeks, Mom beside him like a porcelain doll. Amelia flanked her, notebook poised. Sign here, the attorney said, sliding papers. Jackson skimmed, vineyard full ownership, but a clause, joint management with Harrington Investments. No, Jackson pushed it back. Clean break. William leaned forward. Son, not your son. The words tasted ash. And not your pawn. Mom's hand trembled on his. Please, Jack. For unity. Unity. Laughter bubbled bitter. You mean control? After the DNA? The disowning? Nah. Amelia interjected. It's fair. You get the land, we handle ops. Legacy shared. Legacy? Jackson's voice rose. Elias left it to me. Because he saw what you blind fools missed. I'm enough. With or without your blood. William's face hardened. Ingrate. I raised you. Abused me. The room iced. Jackson stood, chair scraping. The slaps for sissy tears. The camps to straighten me. You knew the truth and weaponized it. For what? To mold a mini-you. Mom gasped. William's fists clenched. I gave you a name. A cage. Jackson tore the clause page. Confetti fluttering. Keep your ops. I'll burn it down before I chain it to you. He stormed out, heart pounding, gravel crunching under tires as he fled. Halfway to L.A., tears blurred the road. Rage, grief, a hollow victory. Logan's text pinged. All good? He pulled over at a rest stop, calling instead. Betrayal round 2. They tried to claw it back. Fuckers. Logan's voice was bomb. Come home. I've got tacos and tequila. Home. The word settled like dust after storm. But the call stirred something darker. Amelia's follow-up voicemail. Voice quivering. Dad's had a heart scare. Your fault? Come back. Fix this. Guilt gnawed. Jackson detoured to the hospital, arriving at midnight to a sterile vigil. William slept, for dripping, monitors steady. Mom dozed in the chair, Amelia scrolling her phone. Jack. Amelia rose, hugging fierce. He'll be okay. But he asked for you. Jackson sat by the bed, watching the man who'd been father, tyrant, ghost. William stirred, eyes opening groggy. You came. Family's fucked up. Doesn't mean I hate you. William's hand reached. Tentative. Jackson took it, calloused from pens, not plows. I was wrong. About everything. The boy. Your mother. You. Cough racked him. Proud. Jackson. Even when I couldn't say it. Tears traced William's cheeks. First Jackson had seen. Rest. Jackson squeezed. We'll talk. Real talk. Driving home at dawn. City waking gold. Jackson felt the thaw. Not forgiveness full, but a crack, light seeping through. Logan waited with breakfast burritos, pulling him into bed without words. They made love lazy, sunlight slanting, Logan's body a map Jackson knew by heart. Missed you, Logan murmured, nuzzling his neck. Missed this. Jackson's fingers carded through damp hair. Us. But peace fractured weeks later. Logan came home late. I shadowed, reeking of bourbon not his usual. What? Jackson asked, pausing the documentary on Stonewall. Garage can me. Cultural fit, bullshit. Logan's laugh was jagged. After the wedding pics hit Insta, us in those stupid matching bow ties, they said clients complained. Jackson's blood boiled. Lawsuit. Discrimination. No. Logan slumped on the couch. Tired of fighting. Jack. Maybe. Enlist again? Deploy. Clear head. The room spun. Leave? After everything. Not leave. Logan's eyes pleaded. Space. To be whole. Betrayal stung fresh. Not Williams, but this fracture in their core. I'm your space. Your fight. And I love you for it. Logan cupped his face. But war's in me. Need to face it solo. Arguments erupted. Nights of slammed doors. Silences sharp as glass. Jackson threw himself into Napa, flying up weekly, transforming vines into haven. Pride flags fluttering arbors. Events for LGBTQ plus youth. Healed him, this building from ruins. Logan drifted, gym rat days bleeding to bar nights. Climax brewed in a phone call. Amelia, frantic, dad's confessing everything. To the board. Embezzlement. Covering debts with vineyard funds. It's over, Jack. Unless you intervene. Jackson flew north. Logan in tow despite the chill between them. The estate swarmed with suits, FBI badges glinting. William in cuffs. Face ashen. Son, he mouthed as they led him away. Mom collapsed. Amelia raging. He gambled it all. To keep up appearances. After Elias. The DNA. He snapped. Jackson's world tilted. The empire. Rotten core exposed. What now? You save it. Mom's eyes begged. For us. But Logan pulled him aside. Voice low. Or let it burn. Your call. The Harrington Empire crumbled like overripe grapes underfoot. Headlines screaming Wine Dynasty's bitter end. Founder faces fraud charges. Jackson watched from the Napa guest house. Laptop open to stock tickers plunging red. Logan's arm heavy across his waist. A tether in the tempest. William's arraignment loomed. Bail denied. The man who'd loomed godlike now reduced to orange jumpsuit and whispers of plea deals. Mom and Amelia shuttled between court and estate. Faces gaunt. Pleading Jackson's intervention. Testify. Character witness. Save the name. But the name was poison now. A brand tainted by lies. Jackson poured his fury into the vineyard. Ripping out diseased rootstock. Planting resilient varietals. Turning tours into testimonies. Queer winemakers sharing stories under rainbow-strung pergolas. "This isn't inheritance," he'd tell visitors, Logan's hand in his. "It's rebirth." Logan stayed, rift mending slow. The enlistment papers sat unsigned on the dresser, a specter they'd exorcised over marathon talks, therapist mandated, tear-streaked. "I was running," Logan admitted one night, rain lashing windows. "From me. Not you." Jackson forgave. Fiercely, kisses sealing cracks, bodies reaffirming vows. They volunteered together at the VA. Jackson facilitating art therapy, Logan leading yoga for vets. Healing rippled outward, a quiet revolution. Court day dawned crisp, autumn leaves carpeting the steps of the federal courthouse in San Francisco. Jackson testified, voice steady, eyes on William across the room, shackled but unbowed. "He raised me," Jackson said to the judge. Gallery hushed. "Flawed man. Failed father. But human. Mercy, not vengeance." The plea deal stuck, house arrest, restitution, empire dismantled. William emerged changed, gaunt in a suit too big, mom at his elbow. At the estate, now Jackson's outright, debts cleared by asset sales, they gathered, fractured family, tentative circle. "Thank you," William rasped, hand extended. Jackson took it, grip firm. "Not for you," Jackson said. "For Mom. For Amelia. For the boy you tried to break." William nodded, tears carving channels. "I see him now. Proud." Amelia hugged Logan fierce. "Your family." Mom baked pies, apologies in crust, apple for Elias, cherry for lost years. But humanism bloomed beyond blood. Jackson and Logan married at the vineyard, spring equinox, arbors blooming riotous. 50 guests. Vets in kilts, queer activists toasting with house rose, even Tommy Whitaker, graying but grinning. Vows exchanged under a chuppah of woven vines. In chaos and calm, "I choose you." Rings, simple titanium, engraved with DNA helices, slid home. Logan kissed him breathless, cheers erupting, petals raining like confetti reborn. Honeymoon in Big Sur, cliffside cabin, ocean roaring below. They hiked trails slick with mist, made love on blankets by tide pools, stars wheeling overhead. "This," Logan whispered, tracing Jackson's wedding band, "is legacy. Back home, life wove rich tapestry." Vineyard thrived. Events drawing hundreds, a nonprofit arm funding LGBTQ plus scholarships. William visited Sundays, awkward barbecues thawing to stories. His own hidden pains, a college fling with a roommate, buried under ambition. "Fear's a thief," he'd say, eyes on his sons, Jackson and Logan's adopted stray, a mutt named Helix. Amelia took the corporate reins, reformed, diversity hires, ethical sourcing. Mom gardened, therapy her new vintage. Grandpa's journal published posthumously, Vines of the Heart, a quiet bestseller, truths outlasting scandals. One evening, sunset gilding the rose, Jackson and Logan walked hand in hand, Helix bounding ahead. "Think they get it now?" Logan asked, nodding toward the city lights distant. "Who?" "The Harringtons." "That love flips history." Jackson smiled, pulling him close. "They do. Or they're learning. But us? We're the rewrite." They kissed, slow and sure, the world vast and kind. No disgraces left, just men, mended, moving forward. Blood had lied. Love endured. And in America's fractured heart, that was revolution enough.